branch pipe, and it gives you some criteria which they actually apply. Okay, so let's go to, so Max has given us two versions of this. So this particular diagram will then allow you, so that's the same diagram we were looking at in some detail. Now, what you would go through is, is effectively you will go through as part of your exercise and identify the discharge units for each fixture on the plan. Okay. So if we start here, we've got shower, different showers at different rates. This says 2, this says 40 diameter. So that's the diameter of the waste. That's the diameter of, and also this is how many discharge units. So you've got 80 diameter and 4 discharge units. Okay. So you go through it, you start assigning it. Each one of these is the laundry trough cover. And so again, the waste diameter and the discharge units. So once you start allocating all the fixtures within that, you know, this one, the basin's there. So basin, shower, bath, toilet, you can see the discharge units associated to each one. Okay. So again, this is a sink. Now, this is a DWM, dishwashing machine, okay, and a sink, all right? So that's picked up, I think the dishwasher comes in at 3, and this has not combined the sink and the dishwasher. I would suggest that you do the sink and the dishwasher separate. Max has done this because the dishwasher goes through the sink gully. So that's often the case, your dishwasher gets plumbed into the sink, okay, so it's assuming the same pipe. Now, what it doesn't allow for is the fact that you might turn the sink on at the same time, okay? Or you might discharge the sink at the same time. So going right through, these again, all the discharge units that are in this particular thing. So what you need to do is then effectively draw how they all connect to the main drain. So the main drain is sitting here, runs along like this, and then at some point you need to draw how they all connect. So in this particular case, we've applied a floor waste gully here. So we talked about floor waste gullies. They're a trap that sits on the floor, and if your shower overflows or your bath overflows, it runs down the floor, doesn't flood the house. Okay, if the toilet overflows, might need a bigger grate. Okay, so that sits in the floor, and all these fixtures discharge into that, and then that exits. Okay, so that has a 65 diameter floor waste gully. And how do we know it's a 65 diameter floor waste gully? Is because way back here there's another table that tells us that. So it says floor waste gully outlet size, and I can't read these numbers. But floor waste gully outlet size, it says number of fixture units discharging into the gully trap. That's what this says here, and you'll be able to read it on yours. It says 3, and you can get away with a discharge outlet of 50. No, that's not right, because we've got more than 3 going in. That we've got 7. Okay, so then you're coming out here, and it's between 3 and 10. It tells you that that discharge pipe needs to be 65 millimeters. Okay, that's a floor waste gully outlet. Okay, and that's, you will get discharge. So if you're applying a floor waste gully, then you go to this chart and you find out which of this outlet is, and if it's greater than 10, then that's going to be an 80 millimeter outlet. Okay? So the amount of things going into this floor discharge says it must be as big enough to carry all that stuff. And our tables tell us that that needs to be a minimum of 65 in this particular case, because we've got 7 of those going. If we scroll all the way back to there. Okay, floor waste gully.
Excuse me, what is a floor waste gully outlet? Is it like a grate in the floor of the bathroom?
It is indeed, yeah. So it's
You
if
don't
you,
often see those. do you?
sorry,
You don't often see those.
not in New Zealand. They're becoming more popular. That's what they look like.
Right.
That's the underneath. Being an architect, you won't know what it looks like from the bottom, of course. Okay. So that would sit in the floor like this particular diagram suggests. Okay. Wouldn't often use it well on a timber floor, I guess. So the reason they run these bits and pieces through it, you can't run your toilet through it, okay, is to keep that trap charged, right? Because if that was just a waste by itself, and you never used it, eventually it would evaporate. And then suddenly you get those sewage smells into your room and you go, "Urgh." Okay? So that's a floor waste gully, and it often looks a bit like that. Oh, this is floor waste gully, floor traps. So often you just see a grate in the floor. So if you've got a disabled access toilet or shower set up, that floor, that's effectively a floor waste gully. It's the waste for your shower, it's the same principle as a floor waste gully. So if that room floods, it'll all go down there hopefully. And invariably, who's used those disabled access showers and you have a shower and it floods the rest of the room? Somehow? That's because the builders are moron. Okay? Because what they do is they fall the area under the shower and they put the curtain around it, and all the water that goes past the curtain doesn't fall. Alright? It's supposed to fall the whole room. Okay? So I don't know how often it happens. We go into jobs and say, please rip this up and do it again. Do not give us the $20,000 bill for the trouble. So that's the floor waste gully. So very, I think they're compulsory in Australia, floor waste gullies in bathrooms. You'll see them in Australia. They're only just coming into New Zealand, especially now we're getting more internalised bathrooms. Okay, back to our diagram. So that tells us that that floor waste gully has 7, because that's the total of all these things that are into it, not that one. So it's, that shouldn't be 32, it should be 40. Okay, so we've got 2, 6, 7. So the floor waste gully is taking 7 discharge units, and we know that under 10 you can get away with a 65 millimeter waste. That's on the table. Okay, the reason we didn't count this one is because that's a toilet, and the toilet can't go through the floor waste gully. That's got to discharge straight out, and that's got to have an 80 millimeter pipe. What are these little points here? That says IJ. IJ is an inspection junction. Wherever something comes into the sewer, call it the main, it needs an inspection point, an inspection junction. And I'd expect to see that. And sometimes you'll have one on the corners here as well, and that might be called up as an ID, an inspection beam. But certainly at every junction point, you'll want one of these. Why? If it blocks up, you can open them, and you can stick a rod through it. If you break it, you can jam it.
So do you have a floor waste gully in just bathrooms, not the kitchens?
You can put it in a kitchen if you like.
I understand, with this diagram, there's a floor waste gully up here.
Yep, there's a floor waste gully here. Yep.
There's one there, there's not one in the kitchen.
There's not one in the kitchen.
That's just down the bottom here.
That is a TR's laundry trough and a clothes washing machine.
So how do you know where you're supposed to put them or where you're not?
You don't actually need to use them if you don't want to. They're just convenient because what happens is it shortens that 2.5 metre distance. So we talked about those traps being vented at 2.5 metres. If this, for example, see this diagram in here, this says 11 metres, we're probably about 6 metres back into the room here. Okay, we couldn't run that directly without a back vent, without a trap vent actually, trap vent. So the floor waste gully acts as our vent, and then shortens all those distances. Plus it gives us the added benefit of if the place overflows, it's not going to flood if something overflows. So normally your basin will have an overflow, Have you bought a basin where that one doesn't work? Or the overflow doesn't work faster than the tap? Okay, and you guys got kids, you'll find that out. Alright? Or they go, oh, what happens if I put my sock in that hole and fill up the basin? So the floor waste gully is a really good sort of security device in case you have a flood in the bathroom. But yeah, there's no stopping you. You can put one in your kitchen if you chose. What you need to do is run one of the basins through it to make sure that it stays charged. Okay, so often in the kitchen we're only dealing with a sink, for example, and it doesn't necessarily warrant what we're doing. It's probably easier in that case just to vent that trap if we had to, have its own little vent because we can put that under the bench and then just run the pipe. So the floor waste gully is probably a little bit over the top, but if you flood your kitchen a lot, it might be a good idea. IJ means inspection junction. Inspection junction. So if we go back, this is not quite the same situation, but this is an inspection point. This is coming from a vertical stack, but see how this got a little cap on it? You can undo that cap and you can check if there's a block. And if something's blocked, you can get a long rod, it's flexible, and you stick it up there, and hopefully it all comes out. Good stuff. Okay, so that's an inspection junction, and those are often, or if they go around corners, you'll find that there's an inspection point on those corners as well. So, we've got the sum total of that.
Alright.
Yes?
Why is there no branch bed going from that other bathroom?
From where?
From the other bathroom, that one?
This one? No branch vent. It would be because of the distance between here and there.
Because the other one seems like it's a shorter distance.
And it's got that branch fence. I think in this particular case, this drain vent here is actually venting the whole line. That's the uphill vent of the whole line. So that allows that line not to sort of pressurize and back up. Okay, so that's allowing that pressure to escape. So this branch vent is on the toilet one. It's a bit like your terminal vent. And I can only assume that this particular one is venting the whole line. And also we've got a branch vent here, another vent, and that comes off the toilet as well. And also here we have what they call it a overflow gully. Overflow relief gully. And that's at a point where overflow relief gully is as if the main line here backs up, and really its first port of call is here, so it doesn't back up into your house. Okay, so overflow relief gully is generally at the kind of towards the end of your system, where it enters the council. So this is the main drain here, where it enters the council system. So it doesn't have to be there, but you generally want it close enough in the system that if the main backs up, that's where it's going to pop out. Okay, you don't. If this wasn't here, well, the next point of call would be there. Floor waste gully there, floor waste gully there, floor waste gully there. So you might have all the neighbours' poos coming down your floor. Okay. So this here is a little grill that sits on the ground, and you'll see a whole lot of stuff come out of it sometimes. And that usually means there's a block somewhere in the system, and it's backing up. So that one thing that should be noted on that, if you put a overflow relief gully, it should have a tap above it, an outdoor hose tap. And the reason for that is, again, to keep that, because it has a trap in it as well, one of those fist traps. And if that's not being used, that could empty out as well, or it can siphon out. So therefore, having a tap above it, every time you use the tap, you get some water in it, and it keeps it charged, as they say. Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole stuff, and then you got a branch vent, I've got a whole lecture on it just about. All right. Yep. Yes. These numbers here, So this number here, where it says 100 mil diameter, 11, that is the sum of all these discharge units going into this pipe. Okay, when we see here, this is the sum of these discharge units going into this pipe. So when you add up all of these here, suddenly this pipe is now carrying 25 discharge units.
Yeah, well, where do you find 25 discharges?
Where am I getting those numbers?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so the numbers come from this chart. So each one of the fixtures, each item.
I'm not aware of this, I need to get amateur off, well,
Sorry.
we are, I can find some get amateur off, well, each item, but I'm aware of some discharges.
Each item comes from there, comes from this figure, from the discharge unit, sorry, from the fixture units.
I see, the right side is,
Yeah, so in brackets is the discharge units, and the number here is the size of the waste. So when you actually do the exercise, you want to be able to put the discharge units and track the size of the waste. Just note that things don't get smaller in the system as they go down the system. Does that make sense? It always gets bigger. If anything gets smaller, it's called a Dyson vacuum cleaner, it doesn't work. Okay, now if things get smaller, you're going to get a blockage. So if something starts at a certain size, it's going to go into something bigger. Okay, so now we are missing another sheet.
so we need every one of these tables then?
You won't need all of these tables,
Not a lot.
but some of them are superfluous, like size of overflow relief gullies. Okay, if you've got a 150 mil pipe, then you're going to have a 150 mil relief gully.
Can you list the ones that are relevant then?
Okay.
Like a building rather than all that?
It depends what your solution is. There's not just one solution. So if you're going discharge to floor waste gullies, this one here is just saying, talked about the untracked fixtures and saying, so that one's probably not relevant. That's that 2.5 meter distance from a floor gully, okay? Or from a vented waste pipe. Okay? So the floor waste gully outlet size, that is relevant, because we just talked about that. Okay? So disconnector gullies is another, that's a gully trap. That's generally a Kiwi thing. We probably don't need that. Okay. So size and rating of vents. Yes, you do need to do that, and that's how you size the vents. Now, where it says branch vents and discharge vents, you don't really need to know the difference. Branch vents just tell you where that's a branch of the main line, and then it's dented. And a discharge vent is on the main line, that's a discharge vent. And then they have header vents and the whole thing. I'll just give you a little lecture on that, and you raise your eyes on those ones. Because that sort of starts to get a little bit, that's beyond what you need for this course, but I'll give you a quick preview of that. Okay, so what we need to do is need to find the waste outlet. Okay. Sorry, I'll ensure that it's shown in the exam. There's a table that shows the maximum allowable discharge units related to pipe size and gradient. And what that relates to is your waste that go around the building. Okay? And effectively, what it does is allow that. So to give you an example, at the shallowest ratio, 100 mil pipe, 100 mil sewer pipe can take 115 discharge units. All right. So that table, with all those tables that you've got there, that one's on there. Okay, and that shows the total, because what we get here is all these discharge units start to add up, and there's a point where the drain here is catching 37 discharge units. Okay, so sorry, I was just looking up. I was going, man, it's got to be there somewhere. But it carries, and then you need to be convinced somehow that that 100 diameter pipe will take that. Now, the 100 diameter pipe at its shallowest will take 115 discharge units. Okay, if it's at a steeper ratio, like a 1 in 20 gradient, 5% ratio, okay, it will take 370. So that, effectively, 100 mil pipe, your sewer will unlikely to ever be more than that. Okay, because when you look at how many fixtures we've got going into this on a single level, it's unlikely to be triple that. Okay. So you can assume, you can make the assumption, if you don't see that table to back it up, that that 100 mil pipe will be sufficient to carry all that discharge, all right? If this was a 3-story building, oh no, you need a different table, okay? That starts to be the size of your stack means. There's tables for just about every little situation. But this is really what you need to know. The branch vent pipes, there is up here, this is the size and rating of vents, okay? So the size of the pipe and then the fixture units. So between 1 and 10 fixture units, you need a 40 millimeter vent pipe, okay? So if you're between 10 and 30, you need a 50 mil vent pipe. This will be an exam that will provide this table for you. So if you're providing a vent pipe, then it needs to relate to the amount of discharge units that are in that particular line. So if we go back to this one, this line that's up here, see this one here, this diameter drain main vent, okay? It's because the number of the discharge units into the system here, that drain needs to do that vent needs to do that, right? Okay, so that's directly related to the amount of discharge units in the system. Okay, and that's what that vent pipe is doing, and that's what that branch vent pipe is doing. So it's the same principle. How many discharge units in the system? What did we get there? We had 7. Okay, and if I go back to that table, in perfect world, it will tell me exactly what I need to know. That's a 50 mil, and that's actually saying it's probably oversized because you could get away with 40 in that particular system. But so that says you get away with 40 because it's between 1 and 10, and we had 7 in that system, but Max is showing 50. But 40 mil would make that difference. So, yeah.
Do you give an example that you can go through step by step?
I thought that was this was it.
Okay.
So this is the example. This is how I would approach it. I would go through and I would allocate all these per fixture, okay? And then I would look at where the main, you will be provided with the main drain, and you would look at a logical way of arranging those pipes and where they discharge. So it's usually the shortest distance. Okay, so you tend to find the shortest distance to get it out. You don't really want to be doing this. And the problem with that is when you have a fall on a pipe, by the time it exits this whole distance there, that pipe might not be low enough in the ground. Because that pipe has to have a fall on it to make sure everything runs through the system. So taking that all the way across the building there, can sometimes not be the solution. They do a lot on, this is a concrete slab arrangement. So concrete slab, if you had a timber floor, you're allowed to hang the pipes underneath, and of course your floor level is that much higher above the ground, so you're going to get that fall across that building quite easy before you discharge that into the ground. But if you're on a slab, you're only going to be 250 mils above the ground. So if that sewer pipe here is only 400 deep, should be more than that, but by the time you get that under the slab and then all your fill and that, you might not be able to achieve that fall. Okay, so it's generally best to make the shortest distance possible. Okay, and also once you exceed that 2.5 meter non-vented system, then you need a track vent or branch vent, as they know. So that would be the approach. And if you look at the next part, then you'd say, if I'm going to use a floor waste gully, then all I have to do is put lines to that. Don't put the toilet into it. The toilet's going straight out. Toilets generally always go straight out and hit. We'll put a new line in here. Okay? We'd unlikely want to take that through the slab. We wouldn't really want to do that. Okay, so here we can put in a new line to save it up. Okay, and here it's got 80 or 100 diameter. Now, so what we've done here is we say, okay, let's use a floor waste gully because we've got all these fixtures close together, and that stops us having to vent the holes, each one of these fixtures, all right? And so then we can put it into there, and then that floor waste gully carries it to the main line, all right? Remember, you can't put toilets into floor waste gullies. You can put showers, you can put basins, you can put baths, okay? You can put washing machines. Can't put toilets into them. Okay? And then that forms a common point and you exit the building with a 65 millimeter pipe. We know the toilet goes straight out, connects to the main, so you draw a line, generally draw a line straight out. You don't want them to go, if this is the direction of travel, none of these junctions here should be going in the opposite direction. Okay, if everything's going this way, it wants to join it like that, but it doesn't want to do that. Okay, you cannot have this coming at more than a 90-degree angle. If the flow's this way, you can't go against the flow. You're just going to get things going up the wrong way. So you do allocate the lines so that where they touch this line, you're not getting an uphill angle, so to speak. So,
If you know the waste pipe that's going from what looks like the kitchen, isn't the end that longer than 2.5 metres though?
which I know, yeah.
Yeah.
See, it's got a vent in it.
So you can vent it at any point.
That's right. Well, there are rules about venting. We do vent them.
So the pipe can be as long as possible to put a vent in it.
Once it exceeds that length, see here you've got 11 metres, so we're getting close to 11 metres. So we're going to have to vent that, okay, for that particular fixture.
I thought the limit was 2.5 metres.
That's right, yeah, but we've given you here 11 metres. So we've already told you it's more than 2.5 from the outset out.
Yeah, so you only need one, it's not like you need a vent every 2.5 metres.
No, you just need a, yeah, so you can have a long pipe in a house. My house is exactly the same, it's got some random vent because there's the laundry, for example, was way on the other side of the house. So that's just carrying one fixture, and that's got like a back vent or a track vent on it, all right? Which is, this is a branch vent, so they're treating that as a branch pipe. Okay, they've called that a branch vent.
So
See, it's only 40 millimetres.
Is a branch vent one that can vent a multiple of pipes?
It can, yes it can.
That's what we've asked.
That's right. I'll show you why they're called branch ventures in a moment. I'll give you a diagram which shows the terminology that gets applied. If there was just one appliance there, you would have what they call a track vent. And that would basically be just venting one particular fixture. Okay? But because it's got several things on it, they call it branch vent. So that branch vent, that circumvents the setback, the 2.5 metre setback from a ventilated sewer outlet. So when I say a ventilated sewer outlet, that's either this main, or that's a floor waste gully, or if you had a multi-storey building, it'd be a stack. Okay, you'd have a vertical stack, and everything would go to that and fall down the building before it gets to the ground. So a vertical stack is also a ventilated sewer outlet point, so 2.5 meters from that point. Okay. There are one or two exceptions.
And why is it not a branch link for the sewer toilet?
For this one,
No, the next one down.
that one,
Yeah.
'Cause
From the
that's-
toilet, from the toilet.
from the toilet,
Yeah, 'cause the other two have.
because that's going into a ventilated pipe. So as long as this has a vent, this main drain vent, this is doing the work of keeping this whole line ventilated.
Would you
That's,
be penalised if you put one in anyway?
sorry?
Would you be penalised if you put one in anyway?
No, you can put one in there. It would just be unnecessary. Yeah.
So there are rules where that main drain bin has to be, like. why-
No, there's the distance between here and there. I think there's a 10-meter setback on those, some of those rules in terms of venting again. No, they just tend to put them close to the house, but you encounter them all over the place. The drain layer will give you a diagram, and it's invariably wrong. But you tend to do it so that you're minimising the length of the run. And one of the reason for that is obviously the cost of your pipe work, and also the cost of trenching all that pipe work into the ground, and also the angle. So if you've got something that's a long way away, you still need to achieve the fall. Okay? So it's better this will have to have a minimum fall on it to take it to the road. So that'll be minimum, I think it's one. So here this one. So 1.65%. So a 1 in 60 ratio is the absolute minimum for a large sewer line like that. So 1 in 60. So for every 60 meters it goes that way, they can drop 1 meter down. So it's pretty shallow. So yeah, you just tend to kind of hug the end of the house, or if this was a suspended house, they'd probably run most of these fixtures right underneath it, and then catch them all here and run them out there. But because it's a slab, you tend to be using these short runs, you know, to the side of the house, and we've already placed the pipe for you. Okay. So key to it: allocate the diameter of pipe and the discharge here.